Welcome back, my friends. It's time for TFT Hyper Roll with Artark. And like I said, we're in a little bit of an InfiniTeam kick here, because outside of Animaniacs, I really feel like that is the strongest build they have this season. Okay, before we get into it, graphic, like, comment, subscribe, please do the stuff. It's important. And with that said, let's get started. Over to our first set of augments. It's gonna be hard for me to ever resist picking up Burst Healing and Thrill of the Hunt. Unless there was something that was perfect for what I was looking for, or just something unique and different, I'm gonna go for it. Here, I'm just trying to figure out what's going to work. I'm not planning on forcing anything, but once I have the 2-star Pantheon, I'm kind of in my head going, yeah, maybe into InfiniTeam. We can grab a Lucian. We have an Ashe. InfiniTeam Sureshots. We'll see how it goes. Now, while InfiniTeam is usually a quick start, if you don't have the actual full InfiniTeam, it's not really that strong. These champions on their own without the portal are not likely to hold up that well against opposing teams. So you're really hoping to have 3 InfiniTeams going into stage 3 so you can have the portal open. Next fight, we're able to open up the portal, and luckily we have a slight star advantage in our front line, which is going to be where it's most important at this point. That holds them back, and even though their Lucian is stronger than ours, we're able to get ahead for the win. And we'll ludicrous speed some of these early fights just because, yeah, it's the same thing. InfiniTeam strong early, you're likely to win these early fights, so it all really matters what happens as you get down the line. For items, I'm mainly thinking Samira, so Sparring Glove, because I'm going to want to make an Infinity Edge. And yes, I'm going to do a Force of the InfiniTeam Sureshot build at some point very soon. And more ludicrous speed, probably the most frustrating thing with InfiniTeam that I hear from people is that you seem like you're winning early. You're going to win this game, you're going to win. Then you get into stage 7 and 8 and it just falls apart if it hasn't come together. Which means you are left begging for augments and not these. Now you can make use of preparation, but suddenly it's going to require a lot of work and thought because you're going to want to be bringing people in and out, especially during NPC rounds, so that they can get more prepared. For me personally, because I often play distracted, preparation is not the best augment. You need to be hyper-focused on pulling champions in and out during the NPC rounds and switching them up so you can get the most prepared champions in. Sometimes you might be forced to sacrifice winning a particular match just to get your unit more prepared for the future. For example, as soon as this fight is done, let me show you what happens here. Rammus is not totally prepared. I could 2-star him right now, but then he would go in without the full preparation. Luckily, it didn't cost me here, and I haven't switched in and out my Sivir because I plan on selling that Sivir once I get Samira. Those are the Samira items I'm planning for, so the Sivir on the bench is the one who's going to go in later. Now, if you are running InfiniTeam, the hero augments are probably the most frustrating. The Shen ones are just not that great, and that's the only option you have. Luckily, in this case, I am running a Rammus, so I can pick up the Armadillo, and that will give everyone on the team a bit more armor and double Rammus's armor, and since that's how he does his damage, it will certainly help. Now, a little bit more goes on in the background here than in the actual fight. I'm looking for a Samira found one, but I'm not going to be able to deploy her for a couple of rounds because I'm going to want her to get actually fully prepared. We're also going to go ahead and pick up the Negatron Cloak here, which gives us the ability to create a second Dragon's Claw for Pantheon. Now we get the ability to 2-star the Twisted Fate, who is now fully prepared, so he can go in. We give him the Static Shiv, which is pretty much an essential item for him because he does magic damage and it's going to shred magic. We put the second Dragon's Claw on Pantheon because we all learned from the last video just how strong Pantheon is. We 2-star the Samira, but she cannot go in yet because, again, she's not fully prepared. This is also the time in the game where you start to feel some of the weakness in the InfiniTeam build. You're usually strong up until now, and then it starts slowing down. A lot of that has to do with the front line. It's just not that strong, so everyone's able to get into the back line and take your champions out. Then we ask the question, what are 4 items I do not want? Already have a static Shiv, don't need the Giant Slayer, already have it on Samira, so I'm going to go ahead and just grab the Zephyr so that I can take one of the opposing team's frontliners off the board. Now we have another Anvil, and I am looking for Twisted Fate items. I'd love to get a Rage Blade and Hextech Gunblade, but it's not there. I don't have any Sunfire Capes on the front line, so I'll go ahead and take a Morellonomicon so he will burn some people. Get Shen onto the portal, give Rammus a ZZ Rot, and let's make sure we have a 2-star Sivir. And the Zephyr works perfectly right here because we happen to hit their gold 3-star Yasuo, who was going to be the one to take out our front line, but he's left on his own by the time he drops down, and we get through them pretty quickly. There are 2 more things we want to do with this build. We want to get in Garen, which is going to tick Defender, give us even more armor on top of what Rammus is giving us with his hero augment, and we also need to get our 5-cost Ezreal. He is the final sure shot, which will give us the most damage possible. But luckily, with that win, we are now into the top 4, and we picked up our Ezreal, but we're not putting him in yet. He needs to get prepared. Couple of item choices. Whenever I have an Ezreal, I'd love to get a Deathblade on because that ult is based on AD. Rabadon's Death Cap, fantastic item to finish off Twisted Fate. The only thing I would want to change there is Rageblade instead of Morellonomicon, but the Morellonomicon is working out pretty well as it is because, like I said, we do not have a Sunfire Cape in the front row. And we now have the perfect mix of everything. We're getting incredible AP damage from Twisted Fate, who, as I've mentioned before, is an important part of just about every single build this season. We're getting AD damage from Samira, and our front line is really, really tanky, especially with that augment, and then adding Garen into the mix. Very hard to beat this. Now that Ezreal is fully prepared, he can go into the match, and we need to check on our competition, and it's close to an Animaniacs team with a 2-star Urgot right in the middle. So we are splitting everything out of the middle, so we're not going to all get caught in a giant wave of death from Urgot, because he's also got the Anima Squad emblem, meaning he is getting the Anima Squad bonus because there's 7 of them. This fight is going to be rough because Twisted Fate does get caught. Luckily, Samira does tons of damage, barely survives the Misfortune ult. Fiddlesticks comes in, but Samira and Twisted Fate working together win the game and the match. GG to everyone. It's a really strong build. Twisted Fate, he just rules this season. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have an absolutely, absolutely awesome day.